Y'all know what time it is. The Brothers Got Next. It's your boy D. Second time on camera. You know what I mean? Shout out to the former New York Giant wide receiver Monty Soon for being on our first video pod.
Yes, sir.
Now we're just going to continue on. You'll have more guests. But, of course, I'm always joined by my co-host, my road dog. Literally my road dog next week, by the way. So,
yes.
What's going on, Kwab?
What up, man? Yes, and we are going to Pittsburgh next week. We're going to Steelers Chargers. Shout out to the homie D for going to a Steelers home opener with me. He's going to experience, well, it's not Heinz Field anymore, Acrisure Stadium now. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't like that. They need to change it back.
But it's going to be dope, man. And what we'll do is we're going to make sure that we film a lot of content and give it to you guys. So it's going to be really dope.
Yeah, man. My first time in Pittsburgh. I'm excited, bro. I'm excited.
City of Champions, baby. Let's go.
I heard the food is bomb. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I know we already got some spots lined up. We're gonna eat. You know, if y'all don't know, me and Kwab are foodies, along with our wives. We're all foodies, so we love trying new.
To a fault, because sometimes we've been putting on them LBs.
I know, yeah, man, for real.
It's like, bruh.
Yeah, I know, but now we're foodies. We love trying new foods, new spots. So yeah, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited,
yes, sir.
Yeah, but let's jump right into it, man. You know, week one. You know, there's always a lot of overreaction. Everybody's, you know, either panicking or they're like, "Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl." But I just want to get your thoughts. Let's start with our teams first. Get your thoughts on how Pittsburgh looked in week one. What did you like? What did you dislike? And how do you feel about them going forward?
Well, I love the defense, which is not a surprise. I mean, ever since I've known you, Darian, the Steelers always have a good defense. There's been a couple of years where they've just been okay, but they're either elite or just are good. So the defense was awesome. I mean, that's one of the better performances I've seen from them, especially in week one. Now, we don't really know what the Falcons are yet. Like, they have a lot of weapons, but, you know, it's going to take Kirk Cousins a little while to kind of get going. He hasn't played in a while, you know, and he didn't play all the preseason, So it's going to take him a little bit of time. But, man, I loved how aggressive the D-line was. And the Steelers' D-line is just, you know, obviously they use two pass rushers with Alex Highsmith and T.J. Watt. They're just relentless. And then, of course, if you add Larry Ogunjobi, you know, Cameron Hayward, those guys are great at just clogging the line and stopping the run. So defense was nearly flawless. I mean, they had Kyle Pitts was wide open for a touchdown in the first half, but you know, as you know, do you watch enough football? Breakdowns happen even with great defenses. So you know, it happens. But the defense was awesome. The offense, I saw some good things. I think what I have an issue with is a lot of what I've been seeing over the last few years is they don't really tend to take the handcuffs off a lot of these quarterbacks and let them, you know, throw the ball vertically. Some dinking and dunking early on. I think they just wanted to kind of get Justin Fields comfortable. But then they started throwing the ball downfield to George Pickens, who was just an elite. He's just a freak athletically. So you're going to have to give him, throw up those 50-50 balls. I'm a big fan of that because if you throw an interception down the field, that other team is going to have bad field position for the most part, unless they have like a good return or something. So I just want to see them be a little bit more aggressive, push the ball downfield a little bit more, use Pat Freiermuth, our tight end, a little bit more. You know, they scored 18 points. It was all field goals. You know, that's not great. You want to be able to get the ball in the end zone, especially when you're playing tougher opponents. But hey, man, a win is a win. I'm used to ugly wins. They got Denver coming up this week, who I expect the defense to be great once again. So all in all, I'm happy, man. Look, I just like W's. I don't care how we get them.
That's right.
I just want W's. And, you know, have I changed my opinion on the Steelers overall this season? Not yet. It's too early, obviously. But, yeah, man, happy to get that win. Tough road environment. Although when you text me about the Steelers, bro, it was like a home game for the Steelers. The Falcons.
So they had it on in the Washington, you know, obviously we both live in the DMV area, but yeah, man, I was watching it on my iPad. You know, I had other games on my big screen TV. Bro, I'm like, I see the terrible towers. I'm like, wait, they're in Atlanta, right? Like,
yeah, man.
Yeah, like, and like, you can barely hit Atlanta fans. I think you mentioned that they had to do a silent count.
The home team, the Falcons,
they were home
to do a silent count. And TJ Watt was saying that after the game. He was like, it helps us tremendously because we feel like we're at home. And, you know, the Steelers fans travel amazing. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man, those are my takeaways. Obviously excited to get that dub. The only undefeated team in the AFC North. Let's go.
So a couple questions before we move on. How did you feel about the new offensive coordinator? I believe it's the Falcons Arthur Smith. And then the second question is, going forward at the QB position, do you feel that Justin Fields should start going forward, you know, or should they still bring Russell Wilson back in even for this week.
Well, I wouldn't say I saw enough out of Justin Fields to justify keeping him as the starter. When you don't get in the end zone, it's going to kind of be hard to justify that. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't have a great old line. They played okay, but there were a couple times where he kind of hung in the pocket too long. I mean, and the good thing about him is he can run. So, in the second half, he kind of calmed down. But the play calling was okay. Like I mentioned earlier, I wish they were a little more aggressive downfield,
right.
Instead of being a lot of dinking and dunking. As far as the quarterback situation, once again, I don't necessarily think he stole the job. Like, it's not like 2-3 touchdowns.
Right.
Whenever Russ is healthy, I'm ready to get him down in there. Now, he also may not play week 2 in Denver. So it's only giving Justin Fields more opportunities. Like, if he performs well against a pretty good defense, and we know Denver, they haven't been good in a while, but they're always good at the crib. Always good. They're always tough at home. They may not have a great record, but they're never easy at home, especially with that altitude as well. So, yeah, if he continues to play well, it's going to be harder to take him out of the lineup. But until then, I still think Russell Wilson should be the guy.
Yeah, because the one thing I did notice is that, I mean, we saw it with Justin Fields last year with the Bears. Like, he's very good athletically. You know, he can run, get out the pocket. But I'm still not sure of him as an accurate thrower. Same. I'm still not a big believer on that. I think you guys have a great running game because with him and then Najee in the backfield, you guys should be able to run the ball. And then having Pickens down the field when you can take those chances. I mean, like you said, the 50-50 balls are going to go to him. And he's such a tall receiver anyway. You know what I mean? He's taller in a lot of corners. So, yeah, you have that. But I agree with you. I think Russell should, if Justin Fields performs how he performed in week 1, and I mean, in week 1 that he performs like that in week 2, I do think that Russell should still be able to come back right. At least we can see what he can do with this offense compared to Justin Fields.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows, man? That game we're going to week 3 might be Russell Wilson's first start.
Yeah, definitely. And I know they're saying Russell really wants to play in this game. Obviously, he's his former team.
I know.
Kind of to Peyton, but right, from everything I'm hearing, he's not quite ready yet.
Yeah, and they're not going to be dumb about it.
Exactly. And he's older, so I get he's an older quarterback, so you don't want to rush him back. He's not in his early 20s where you're like, okay, we can kind of rush him back and see what it is. So, yeah, no, I get it. So, I mean, if Justin Fields is to start again this week, yeah, like you said, get some more opportunities and we'll get to see what he can do.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, moving on to my team, the Dallas Cowboys, they did pull out a win in week 1.
Which I was happy. I called that they would.
And you did call what they would. I did pick Cleveland. I'm definitely regretting that pick. Even I'm regretting picking Cleveland even going forward. But listen, in all seriousness, the defense looked great. Kind of like your game. I mean, both D's played very well.
Very well.
I loved what Zimmer called. I think the defense is going to be solid and good again this year, even under Zimmer. I know a lot of people kind of thought with switching coordinators from going from Quinn to Zimmer how this would work. But I saw a lot of great things, a lot of good things. Micah still looks great. Even old DeMarcus Lawrence got a sack. I really like that.
2 sacks?
Did you have 2?
I might be wrong. I thought I saw he had 2 sacks.
I think he had a sack and a half. I think he helped out with 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he helped out with 1. But the guys I really loved, I love the addition of Eric Kendricks, who was really good.
Oh,
He's another vet, good pickup. I mean, that was really our only free agent signing. But
it's been an impact.
It's been an impact. And I love our new linebacker, Overshawn. I don't know if you noticed he was number 13.
Yeah, I noticed him making some plays out there.
He was our second or third round pick last year, 2 years ago. And he was hurt. He tore his ACL or something like that. But, I was really impressed by him. Like, I think if he can stay healthy, I mean, him and Eric Kendricks, we're going to be a force. I mean, because you already have Micah. DeMarcus can still play. The D look good, man. I really have no complaints about that. Even Trayvon Diggs coming back from an ACL, I liked how he looked. I thought he'd be a little rusty, but had a pick, as he always gets a pick for some reason. The offense looked okay. I mean, Dak threw 1 touchdown. We had a Zeke sighting. Everybody was kind of getting on us in the offseason with our running game, but Zeke got into the end zone, nice run. And then we had, Kevontae Turpin, since we've gotten him, he's been great, as far as special teams. I mean, he's been a Pro Bowl the last 2 years as a punt returner and a kick returner. So I wasn't really surprised at that. I was happy that he got the touchdown. But I think we played well in all 3 phases of the game, special teams, defense, offense. I thought the offense could have played a little bit better in the second half, but I get it. Like, we were up by like 20 points. We kind of controlled the whole game. So I know Mike McCarthy kind of took it kind of conservative, kind of easy, like, hey, we're just going to run the ball because they really couldn't do anything on offense. And I think you mentioned, like, I was really impressed at how they played against to me, an elite defense. I mean, Myles Garrett was the defensive player of the year last year. And you have Denzel Ward on the outside. And they also have that they picked up that Saint Thornhill. You know what I mean? So I thought, all in all, us playing against their defense, I was that was the most surprising thing of the game, how our offense went against their D, because I thought it would be kind of a low scoring game, defensive game, but to have 2 offensive touchdowns and a special team touchdown, and I know the rest were field goals. I think all in all they played pretty well. If I had to give it a grade, I think it was like a B+. They have the Saints this week. I think that game is going to be a little tougher than the Browns one, because the Saints actually have a capable quarterback. So, you know what I mean? And they actually also have a good defense. So it's our home opener, but I'm really interested to see how they play against a little better competition. But all in all, I was happy after week 1.
Let me ask you something, man. So what was I saying? You know my thoughts on the Cowboys going into the season. I always say it. Like, I don't get why people think they're going to suck. You still feel that way? Did that look like a 6-7 win team to you? Like, you've been on record for saying you think this is going to be a
I have.
That did not look
No,
like
it doesn't look like a 6-7 win team. I would probably say lean towards more like a 10-win team, if anything.
That's a big difference going from 6 to 10 wins.
Yeah, maybe, but again, it's early, just like you said with the Steelers. Early, it's week 1.
It's not early, not with the Cowboys, because they've been doing this for years. I've been saying it. The regular season, they're the same. They've won 12 games. The last 2 or 3, like I said, only the Chiefs have won more games over the last 3 years than them in the regular season. The regular season is not the issue. Y'all are going to win if you stay healthy, especially with the quarterback.
Right.
You're going to win 11 games. You're going to win. It might be 10 because the Eagles are going to be tricky. Although, I mean, it's early, but
it's early.
The Commanders didn't look great, so that might not be great competition in the division. The Giants,
we both thought they'd be better, but yeah, when I watched that game on Sunday, I was like, it looked like the same old Commanders.
And you're pretty much 3-0 right now because you're playing the Giants twice. You're 3-0. Let's just say right now you have.
Okay.
you look confused for a second. You're like, wait, what? Yeah. I'm chalking that up as 2 wins. It's kind of like when the Steelers used to play the Browns back in the day. I'm like, well, we're already 2-0.
Well, you might be 2-0 again this year. I'm just being honest. You might be 2-0. Yeah, we might be going both ways. No, I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's early, but like I said, defensively, I think we're going to be good. And I think I told you that even in the offseason. Remember, I think I said, the problem is not the defense. I have faith in Zimmer. Zimmer was there before with the Cowboys for 12 years. He's a known good defensive coordinator. He knows defense. That wasn't the concern with me. The concern is still the offense. Like, right, if Dak is healthy, they have a shot. My one thing with the offense is that I feel like they could sometimes be a little bit too much CD dependent. Because now – on Sunday, which some of the things I did like is that, they didn't depend on CD like that on Sunday. Brandon Cooks caught a touchdown. They had other guys that contributed. So if we can do that going forward, then yes, I will agree with you that this can be maybe a 10, 11 win team. But they have to be consistent with that. But like I said, I have no gripes with the defense. I just think offensively we can be better. And I still want to see how the running game is. Like, yes, Zeke had a touchdown. And I know as a team we had over 100 yards rushing. But I do want to see one of our backs kind of solidify, like, okay, that's our back. That's our number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'll say two quick things. Like, usually when you have a good defense, like a top 10 defense, you're usually going to win like 8 games. Like, look at the Steelers the last few years. They've had no offense. Yeah. Right. No offense. They've been a defensive team, and the defense has carried them. Right. So by default, you're usually not like a 5 or 6 win team when you have a really good defense like you guys have.
Right.
And then you have a top 10 quarterback. So like the when you have those two things combined with a division that has one team that is really going to be your competition, and it's a team that you guys usually like play well against. Like Dak plays really well against the Eagles.
Right.
If I'm wrong, but yeah. So I don't know. I just look at the Cowboys and I'm just like, oh yeah, they won. I expected that. Really, yeah. I expect them to play pretty well. They're going to have down weeks. Every team has down weeks. And to what you said about depending too much on CeeDee Lamb, I think that's very normal for a lot of teams that have superstar receivers. If you look at Miami, now Miami does use Waddle, obviously. Waddle's a good receiver. If you look at Minnesota, they've been very dependent on Justin Jefferson. So it's a very common thing with a lot of
you guys with Pickens.
Yeah, well, I mean, we really don't have a lot of other options. At least you guys have guys that, like you have Ferguson, who I know he's banged up.
Yeah, he's day to day. So I mean, I if I had to predict, he probably is not going to play this week, just to kind of give him as much rest as possible. But you're right, we do have other guys. Like I said, Brandon Cook stepped up. I'm really hoping, and I mean, from the preseason, it looked like, and then from everything I heard in camp, I really hope this Jalen Tolbert guy, who we drafted about 2 years ago, he's supposed to be our third receiver. So I'm hoping he kind of steps up and kind of comes into his own. But yeah, you're right. I mean, look, like I said, it's week 1. It's early. I loved our defense, and you may be right as far as most times when you have a top 10 defense, you're going to win a lot of games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you'll win a decent amount. Like you're
a
not
decent amount, right?
Yeah, you're winning.
No, I'm not saying like you said, probably 7-8 games. You'll win
by default. And if you, like I said, if you add a quarterback and like a pretty talented offense to that equation, I think you guys are. Now, fast forward to 5 months from now, we talking wild card weekend or divisional round.
Yeah,
all bets are off because I was super confident last year that y'all would beat the Packers, and that didn't happen. So.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the Packers, great segue. Great segue.
I know what I'm doing.
Great segue. So obviously, as everybody knows, Jordan Love went down at the end of the Eagles Packers game. I think the prognosis is he's going to be out for what 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's 4 to 6 as of right now.
4 to 6, yeah. So they're saying I'm hearing week 6 or 7, possibly he could come back depending on how the recovery time, how he does with his recovery. But I guess the biggest question is, can the Packers survive without him going forward? Do you think they're still a playoff team even without him? Or is it like, this might be a little rough stretch for them?
It's going to be a little rough. And right now I'm pulling up their schedule. So excuse me for just a second if I look like I'm looking off cam. So they have the Colts coming up. That's in Indy.
Ooh, that's tough. The
Colts are weird. I mean, I guess
they played to Texas, so they lost. But the Texans are good. I think they're going to win that division. So I'm not going to get on the Colts for losing that game. That's the Texans.
Not at all. That's not an easy opponent. But the Colts are also kind of like erratic at times. Like they can look explosive, but then they look mad sloppy. But I mean, but that's kind of the quarterback, right? He's very raw. He's going to make
very raw.
But he has huge arm.
He does.
So they got the Colts coming up in Indy. I'll probably say the Colts win that.
Yeah, I'm going to take.
Then they're at the. No, I'm sorry. This is a home game. They're in Green Bay for the Colts. Excuse me. So they're at home against the Colts.
See, I don't. Okay, so the thing is, I don't know that much about Malik Willis, who's replacing. Yeah, I mean,
I've been impressed with what I've seen. It's a small sample size, though.
Small sample size, but what I've seen, I'm with you. I'm not confident
good at all.
Yeah, I'm not confident he can get it done. And he almost reminds me kind of a Tavares Jackson kind of person, like
R.I.P. Yeah,
R.I.P. That's right. Yeah, so he almost reminds me of that. I'm not confident in him, but the Colts at home. I mean, just because it's their home opener, they could possibly just off the home crowd maybe upset them. But if I'm a betting man, I would say no. I would take the Colts.
Malik Willis had a couple of starts. It was his rookie year, but 50% completion percentage, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks in his 3 starts.
Yeah,
I saw nothing. That was like, I see something there. I saw nothing, bro.
Right.
I saw nothing that gave me. So, like for example, I remember when Jordan Love had his first start. I believe it was against the Chiefs, and I think it was Rodgers last year as a Packer.
Right.
And like a lot of people were down on him, like, but I don't know, man. Like you still see something. And even when he had that start against the Eagles, I don't know if you remember that. He had another start against the Eagles where people were like, oh wow, he did some good things. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. The Chiefs game, I thought he didn't have anything. I was like, this is it. This is a wrap. Like they're gonna be bad if they lose Rodgers.
Yeah,
but he did redeem himself right with the Eagles game, because in the Chiefs game, I was like, they don't got nothing. And this guy's been sitting for 4 years, and I'm like, he ain't it. But he did prove himself in that next game.
And the crazy thing about Malik Willis, remember, I think he ended up being a 3rd-round pick out of Liberty.
Yes.
And remember, he was projected to be like a 1st-round pick. Like a lot of people were like, oh, is he going to go top 10? And he fell all the way to the 3rd round.
Right.
Obviously, the evaluators saw that there was something missing, that whether it was the lack of competition in college, just his skill set overall. But so going back to their schedule real quick, Indy, I'll chalk that up. I'll probably chalk that up as a loss. Then they're at Tennessee.
They can win that.
It's
on the quarterback's not good at Tennessee. We're gonna get to that later. I can give them that.
They had the Vikings at home, and Darnold looked great. He looked good.
He was playing against, though. He was playing against probably one of the worst teams ever. So he looked like Montana
amazing.
back there.
He looked amazing.
I was like, dog, like how has he been on 3 teams? Yeah,
he looked great. You know what's looked good? And not to sidetrack, Baker Mayfield looked good too.
I'm a Baker guy. I told you that from last year. And I've actually been a Baker guy even since we were with the Browns. I always said the Browns didn't give him a fair shake. Like,
they're probably regretting that now.
He had a horrible coach. He didn't really have a team. And remember, he went into Pittsburgh in a playoff game.
Hey, we're not allowed to talk about that.
I know. Hey, I'm sorry to bring that up, but that's impressive.
No, it was. There was no crowd, but it was still a great win.
Yeah. I mean, he went into Pittsburgh and then he won a playoff game last year. I don't get why people hate on him. I really don't understand why people don't think he's that good. I don't get it. Like, I'm like, well,
yeah, I'll admit I'm one of those people that thought he wasn't that good anymore after Cleveland. I don't
know what you guys are seeing, but I'm seeing somebody that can actually play. Like, I get it. You don't like the antics and the whole, he was only all in these commercials. He hadn't done anything yet. He's kind of like he's very, I don't want to say cocky, but he's a very confident guy.
Yeah. Antics only look bad when you don't win. If you're winning, nobody's going to care about you.
He hasn't been like that in 2 years. You notice he doesn't do that anymore.
I think he's matured a lot too, though.
Yeah, he's not cocky. He's not on the TV screen all the time. Yeah, I think he's definitely matured. So, like I said, I always thought there was something there. So.
Yeah, so real quick back to the Packers. If they can go 500, maybe 3-3, even 2-3,
who they have after the Titans?
After the Titans, they got the Vikings at home. Then they're at the Rams. They got the Cardinals. That's another tough out. The Texans, the Jags, the Lions. It's not an easy schedule because all those teams are pretty competitive. The Lions, even the Bears are more competitive now. The Niners, the Dolphins, Jesus. They don't have any cake like, oh man, I could be maybe Tennessee. And even that game is on the road. That's not a home game. Road games, to me, are never a guaranteed dub. Trust me, you went to Cowboys Jets a couple of years ago where you probably thought, bro, I went to a Steelers Jets game when the Steelers were one of the highest scoring offenses in the league and they lost. So
who was the quarterback of the Jets when you went?
Vic.
Darnold. Yeah, Darnold. He looked like how he looked on Sunday.
Yeah, man. So I never. Road games, even this weekend with the Steelers going to Denver, it's
that Cowboys team wasn't that good because we missed the playoffs that year.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm saying. To be honest, I was shocked that it was the Jets, but at the same time, then I was like, well, I'm not really kind of shocked because we missed the playoffs. Because at least you guys made the playoffs that year, right? You guys made the playoffs that year, right?
Yeah, they were 11-5 that year.
Right.
Roethlisberger had 2 straight games. He threw 6 touchdowns. I went to the next game. I'm like, oh, he's about to throw 6 touchdowns again. And so. Yeah, I think the Packers with that schedule and what I know about Malik Willis are in a little bit of trouble. But yeah, if they can go 2-3, and there's optimism that Love could actually be back a lot earlier.
Okay,
so maybe he only misses 1 or 2 games, and I think the Packers will be fine.
Yeah, no doubt. Now on to the next thing, bro. Look, we have our friends that are not big on this dude, and I've even had my mixed feelings about this dude. But I have to admit, bro, when I watched on Sunday, Josh Allen is a beast. I mean, yeah, I know what you're about to say. I've told you this for years.
Oh, he's incredible.
But my thing is, I feel like he's sometimes kind of shrunk in the big moments. You know what I mean? He's lost. I mean, they've been a Super Bowl favorite every year, and I feel like they come up a little bit short. Not as bad as the Cowboys, but they're right there. You know what I mean?
Man.
But listen, hold on. But when I saw Sunday, I mean, I don't know if this is sustainable, but what I saw Sunday, I mean, he is the Bills' offense. I mean, throwing, running. Now, is that sustainable? I don't know if that's sustainable for a whole season. And even if they make the playoffs, can you win a Super Bowl that way? Because I was still not big on their D. And I told you this. I said their defense would take a step back.
Very bend or break.
Exactly. But I told you, I said they would take a step back defensively, and they lost a lot of people. Remember, a lot of people left and signed other places. So all I'm going to say is, look, what I saw from Josh Allen on Sunday was remarkable, was great. He's definitely a top 5 quarterback. But I guess my question to you is, as I just said, do you think this is sustainable going as the season goes on? And if they make the playoffs, can the Bills win like this with him doing everything?
They did last year. He had 50 touchdowns last year, by himself.
Yeah, but he had Stephon Diggs. He had a pretty decent defense.
He had 4 touchdowns by himself. He had 4 touchdowns. I shouldn't say by himself, but he had 4 touchdowns on Sunday. Second best quarterback in the league, bro. I've been saying it for a couple of years.
He doesn't have an elite receiver, at least not right now. He doesn't have an elite receiver.
He still had a completion percentage close to damn near 80%. threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The thing with Josh Allen, and I'll get on him for this, he gets a little sloppy at times. Like he'll always have that like turnover.
Oh, you're talking about the fumble when they went down like 17-0.
Yeah, he'll always kind of have that fumble or two where you're like, like. So as a fan, I can understand sometimes it's a little like kind of on the sloppy side. It kind of reminds me a little bit, not as reckless with the interceptions, but kind of very Favre-ian at times.
Right.
You know, like, like damn, he's balling, but he always has to have like that pick or that fumble. It just comes along with the Josh Allen experience. But bro, he consistently carries that team. And yes, I do think it's sustainable in the regular season. But once you start getting in January, February football, you got to go to KC. You potentially got to go to Baltimore. Got to go to Pittsburgh. I don't know about that, but yeah, it gets tougher, especially when it gets colder. Now he's built to be he plays in a cold city. He's a big dude. He's a very physical running back. Now you want to be careful with that physicality, though. You can't just keep running in the linebackers.
Right, but the older you get, I mean, he's still in his 20s, right? Yeah, but right, I get it. I mean, once you get to like 30, like where Dak is, right? I don't think you want to be doing that.
Nah, so he's gonna have to calm down, because the thing is, we can both agree he has a great arm. Like he can be a pocket passer and not have to scramble as much as he does, but he's capable, so he does it.
Right.
I think the key for them is getting James Cook a little bit more involved. Make sure give him 20.
He had a good year last year. James Cook had a good year last year.
But give him 20 touches a game.
Right.
But the thing that's going to be tough about them to stop is they don't have like a true number one. Like they have Dalton Kincaid as the tight end. They have Khalil Shakur.
I like Keon Coleman. I like the rookie. I think he could potentially be their number one. Now I'm not saying this year, but I wouldn't be surprised in year 2, maybe year 3, you start seeing like, oh, this dude is really that dude. You know what I mean? You know, he was highly coveted out of college, you know, coming out of FSU. So
that's going to make them tough to kind of defend this year, because you don't really know who they're like. You knew you had to focus on Stephon Diggs last year. Right. So yeah, I do think it's sustainable because I've seen Josh Allen do it. I'm very high on him, maybe to a fault at times, but I just look at his skill set. He does everything I want my quarterback to do, and he kind of reminds me of the Steelers, what the Steelers used to have at quarterback. Big, physical, huge arm, isn't afraid to shut off tackles or be physical. I love that dude, man. After Mahomes, I'm taking him. So I do think it's sustainable. Playoff run, I'm not sure, but regular season, I mean, they're going to be a playoff team. I think so.
Gotcha. All right, moving on. So I know you always bring up this. You always say like, you know, there's always this overreaction after week 1.
Always.
And this is
preseason. There's also preseason overreaction.
I think you've been saying this about this team like since the last 5 years, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now they lost to the New England Patriots at home on Sunday with Jacoby Brissett starting. Now I know they didn't have Higgins and Chase, I believe.
Chase played,
right. But I know he's probably not up to speed because he
missed most of training camp, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And then they didn't have T. Higgins, of course. But is it an overreaction? I pretty much know what you're about to say, because you kind of always say they start. You know, this is a classic Bengals. They always start slow. But was it more them starting slow, like as they usually do, or are we overlooking this Patriots team? I mean, that Patriots defense looked great. Like offensively, no, they're not there. But it's a little bit of both, or is it just, hey, Bengals started slow, they'll be fine after maybe week 3 or 4?
It could be a combination of both. Like the Patriots are a very prideful organization. Like, you know, since we've known each other, I think we would rank them number 1 as far as organizations. As far as
no, that D looked awesome. Like, I mean, I watched them in the game, you know, on my tablet. But no, that D looked great. Like, I mean, look, listen, Gerard Mayo is a defensive guy. Which is not surprising. But they look like a top 5 defense on.
The Patriots consistently have a good defense too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, now offensively, they're not even close. They're like bottom league.
Take them some time, and they're grooming a young quarterback, so maybe it'll look different once he gets in the mix. But,
right. But like you said, going back to the Cowboys, they have potential to shock people and probably win 7 to 8 games just off their defense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like, once again, like the Cowboys' offense is good too. We acting like they.
No. I'm not saying it's not, but what I'm saying is I'm just comparing it to what you said, that when you have a good defense in this league, a top 10 defense, you can win 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe, like, listen, remember in the offseason, I ain't gonna lie, I thought the Patriots would be one of the worst teams in the league.
I mean, they still might be.
I know they still might be. They still might be, but I like what I saw defensively. Like I said, and like you said, no surprise, Gerard Mayo's a defensive dude. So, but getting back to the Bengals, do you think this is the same as the last 5 years as you've seen? They start slow, or is this year kind of different? Because the only thing I'll say about this year is that I think Chase being out of all training camp with this whole contract situation, I think this is going to linger a little bit because he obviously still hasn't gotten paid. Same thing with T. Higgins. Remember, T. Higgins wanted to be paid, and they franchised him, and he just signed the tender to say, all right, I don't want to sit out, so I'll come play. I think that's going to be a problem for them going forward because you're going to hear more about it as the season goes on. Obviously, they have they have Joe Burrow, who's Joe Burrow. He's Joe Cool. He's going to be fine, but do you think this is a little different this year, or do you kind of say like, hey, it's just like the last 5 years? They'll be fine.
I'll trust the trend. I'm a trendy guy. Now they got a tough week 2 game, man. They got to go to KC.
Right.
They've proven they can beat KC, but not early season Bengals. That's like late season Bengals. Those are different teams.
You're right.
Yeah. I mean, so they're probably going to start 0-2.
Remember, the Cowboys beat early season Bengals with Cooper Rush.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that was a good Bengal team that year.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were. I think they go to the AFC Championship game, or they lose?
I think that was the year they got to the title game. They lost to the Chiefs the next year.
They lost to the Chiefs, right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Bengals, they've done this. Their schedule definitely softens up, which is a good thing after KC. So they have the Commanders at home after that.
Yeah,
they'll beat the Commanders. They have possibly one of the worst teams we may ever see in the Panthers the week after that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to them later too. Yeah. Do they have a prognosis of when T. Higgins will be back?
Yeah, I'm not too sure on T. Higgins, but I mean, even without T. Higgins, they should be able to beat the Commanders and the Panthers.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and they have the Ravens, divisional game at home that can go either way. Giants, Browns.
Those are both wins, right? At least right now.
And I'm not going to be quick to dismiss the Browns fully yet. They still have a really talented team. They just need Deshaun to be okay. Like, you don't have to be awesome. Like, you don't have to be the Deshaun from 3 years ago when Houston threw 33 touchdowns or whatever. You just got to be okay. Just manage the game, make some throws downfield, but they're not even doing that. So I don't know, but that's going to be tough because it's a divisional game, and the Browns always play the Bengals tough, man. Like they just can't figure out the Browns.
The Browns are so good defensively. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Don't look at what the Cowboys did on Sunday as like, oh, this is a bad Browns defense. I think it was the first game of the season. It's early. I think also, Deshaun playing how he played didn't help them out, because they were on the field a lot. I mean, we controlled time possession. They didn't have the ball a lot, so they were always on the field. So remember, this is September where it's still kind of hot. Remember, these guys don't play in the preseason, so they're getting tired real quick. Yeah. So if the more time they're on the field, they're going to run out of gas. So I'm not going to use that game as like, oh, well, going forward, the Browns defense is going to be bad because of what the Cowboys did. And according to you, and I kind of agree, the Cowboys don't have a bad offense. You know what I mean? They're not a terrible offense. You know what I mean? I just think it's more Deshaun than the defense playing bad because they have to be on the field, more than half the game, more than the offense did. So yeah,
I think the Bengals will be fine. They might get up to a tough start, but they've overcame that pretty much every year. Burrow has been healthy throughout the season. That's their key. Just keep Burrow upright. They'll start cooking. They got very winnable games. They have the Raiders as well coming up, so they'll be fine. I'm not worried about them.
All right, we were just speaking about the Browns, so this goes into our next question here. Now, we saw some bad quarterback play on Sunday, and I'm just going to ramble off some teams, and we're going to get to the Browns, but I guess my question is, I know it's only week 1, but I think with these teams, we really start asking ourselves, are these the guys, and should they be going elsewhere for quarterback? We're going to start with the Giants. Now, we've been on this show for we've been on this show for the last 5-6 years. We know our feelings about Daniel Jones. Right. And I remember you making a statement before the season started that he may be the worst starting quarterback in the league. And I'm starting to even lean that way and believe you. I mean, what are the Giants doing here? I mean, should they go in another direction or stick with him? I mean, he looked terrible on Sunday. Now the Giants team as a whole looked bad. Even their defense, who I thought would be good this year, they didn't look great either. But should we be all putting this on Daniel Jones, or is it just that the team is bad, or it's like, they need to go in another direction QB wise?
Well, it starts at the quarterback position, man, and he just doesn't make enough plays downfield. I mean, if you look at 22 of 42, that's barely over 50%. He had a QB rating of 44, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. It's the same issues.
He looks rattled in the pocket. Do you notice that? Every time he's in the pocket, he looks like it's almost like a rookie. You expect a rookie to feel that way because it's kind of like new to them, but he looks like a rookie out there playing. I'm being 100% honest. It looks like I'm watching Caleb Williams, like who, okay, he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes, but Daniel Jones is in his 5th or 6th year. He shouldn't be making these same mistakes in your 5th year.
You know who I blame for all this? Who Giants fans should be upset at is the Vikings, because he went and won that playoff game in Minnesota, and that got him paid.
Yes,
and he had a good game. He did have a good game, but you play any quarterback enough games, they're going to have a good start. Like, oh, he actually played all right today. Yeah,
right.
They're going to have to move on. We've seen enough. Like, how big of a sample size do we need to see? He's not the guy, man. He's not just going to automatically turn it around, because ultimately you got to remember, like, we're all professionals, right? Like, if you struggle at anything for too long, you're gonna lack confidence, whether it's at the workplace, anything. And the confidence ain't there. Is the organization even comfortable with him? I don't think so.
Well, I was gonna say, let's just real quick about the organization. I'm not confident in the Giants organization, because that GM is awful. Like, first of all, you paid Daniel Jones, and then you let go Saquon Barkley, who was pretty much your offense. Yeah. Right? Now, Dable, I still think he's a good coach. I think
I do.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a quarterback. And my thing is, when you're a good coach and you don't have a quarterback, you're going to be hamstrung. Like, it's not your fault.
Especially if you're going to have a below average or a bad QB, you at least have to have a good defense. And they don't really have either. Like, their defense has players, but they're not right. They're like a middle of the pack defense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so
they have talent. Like, I agree with that. They have talent.
Yeah, like the
Steelers can't put it together.
The Steelers have lacked QB play for a while now, but they have a good defense. So they're still going to win 8 games, 9 games. If you don't have a quarterback and you don't have a defense, that's a major issue. So they're going to have to move on. This is his last year as a starter, unless something miraculously happens, like he starts just throwing 4 touchdowns. But, I mean, Daniel Jones, man, like, if you look at his last few seasons, has he gotten better? I mean, last season and look, it's always hard to look at things as just statistically, but let's just look at stats for just a second.
Right.
So last year he played 6 games. He got hurt. He threw 2 touchdowns in 6 games with 1-5 as a starter. Year before that, he threw 15 touchdowns in 16 games. That's not good. 10 touchdowns the year before that in 11 starts. 11 touchdowns the year before in 14 starts. He's not even averaging a touchdown a game, D. Like, for the most part. It's like,
yeah, remember I was joking with you. I said Dak Prescott has more touchdowns in one season than he had, I think, in like 3 seasons.
Yeah, same with Mahomes. I mean, these are elite, these are, upper echelon quarterbacks.
That should never be the case where you're a quarterback. One quarterback has, 1 year has, tripled you in 3 years. You know what I mean? That should never be the case.
I feel bad for Giants fans, bro. It's not
a
very, very rough stretch for them.
I do.
Because once again, you can have those similar situations. Like, you can have a bad situation at quarterback, but they're not even like competitive. Like, they made the playoffs a couple years ago, which shocked all of us. And they won a playoff game. I was like, what? But if I think that was an outlier.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And let's get to another team, the Tennessee Titans. Listen, man, I don't think Will Levis is the guy. I watched that whole game with the Bears and first of all, they should have won that game. They were up, I think,
17-0 at one point.
Yeah, like, I mean, that pick he threw at the end to give them the lead. It was. I mean, you're in your second year, bro. You're not a rookie anymore. You cannot make that throw. And I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing. Last year I thought I saw a little bit of something. I was like, oh, maybe they got something there, but I was watching that whole game. I'm like, yeah, this dude is not it. What are your thoughts on Will Levis?
Yeah, I think it's a little early. I'm not willing to. Now, I might be wrong. He may end up not being any good, but I still think we need more of a sample size. Me personally, I like to. It's just a me thing. I like to give quarterbacks 2 full seasons.
Okay, gotcha.
For me to be like, yeah, I'm out. Now, he's not off to a good start. And there's some decent talent there. I don't understand why DeAndre Hopkins only had 1 catch, but whatever. We got Calvin Ridley, who's very erratic. Like, Calvin Ridley will have 180 to 20 yards one week and then like 12 the next week. I don't understand him either. But yeah, they've got some talent there. They got a new coach, Callahan. We'll see how creative he can get. But the thing about Levis, when you like watch him, like, his mechanics seem a little off to me. Like, I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say. He just doesn't. When I see him get in the pocket, drop back, he doesn't look comfortable.
No, he doesn't.
Anytime I see a quarterback doesn't look comfortable, I'm like, that's not a good sign.
He's a little too like jacked. Like,
he's a
big dude. He's a buff dude. I think that could work against him
in the pocket. Like, he's always like, I just don't see it, bro. Like, me, I'm not gonna be say I'm. You always get on me like, quarterbacks. I just don't see it. I don't see it,
but I still think there's time, and they're gonna give him time. I mean, their backup is Mason Rudolph, who I obviously have a lot of experience watching.
Right.
He's a good backup. I don't think he's a starter, but we're not gonna bench him for Mason Rudolph. So they're going to give him a leash. Now, this is his year. He has to prove it this year.
Of course, yeah.
But Tennessee is not a high-pressure place. Like
it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, so they're not going to –
so bad, bro. When he threw that pick, I was like, what? It looked like Plummer-esque. Like, remember Jake Plummer? Where I used to always get on? Your boy, yeah. Like, I was like, what was that? Like,
yeah, I mean, second-year quarterbacks are going to make some bad throws, too. Like, yeah, it happens. But, yeah, not yet. Let's hold off on the Levis. Yeah, I still think there might be something there. See.
Now, this is a guy, I think we were talking during the week. I'm going to agree with you that I don't think anything's there with this guy. I don't think the Panthers may have to move on from Bryce Young. He does not look good at all.
He does not look good, but it's early. Why do we want to be...
No, bro. I don't think...
If you're the Panthers, what do you do?
I'll give you Will Levis, but Bryce Young, first of all, like you said, he looks 12. He looks like a little kid.
Well, that's just physically how he looks. We can't...
Yeah, he's not physically like a regular quarterback.
No. But we knew that coming into the draft, though. That's not a shot.
I know that, but he just doesn't. I don't see it, bro. I mean, I don't see it. I think they're gonna have to move on probably after this year. I mean, I guess according to you, yeah, give them enough this whole season,
which they will.
Yeah, like you said, the Panthers are one of the worst teams in the ever. Yeah,
they're awful. They're awful. They're awful before
that. Doesn't help either. That doesn't help.
Awful before them. That's why they had the number 1 pick.
Right, and that doesn't help either. Like I mean, I know they don't have really any talent, but I just don't see.
Well, that doesn't help. They don't have any playmakers around them. Adam Thielen, come on, man.
He's old.
I mean, Deontay Johnson's fine, but he's like a 2. He's not a number 1.
Right.
So. Chuba Hubbard as their. Come on, man. They don't. I don't know if I see it either. I'll be real with you.
Right.
But I still think we need to give it some time. So a gut feeling, I don't see it, but I didn't really see it coming out. Like I was like, Like I like.
Yeah. Remember, I told you that when the draft happened. I said I'm not really seeing it. I don't see what everybody else is seeing.
Yeah. So gut's telling me I don't think it's going to work out, but I still think we need to give it time. I just don't. So I guess for you, when do you need to see something? Are you like
week 1? I'll like you said, it's early. It's a week 1 overreaction. I need to see something by like week 5 or 6. No, I'll give it week 6. Like I'll give you 5 games. I'm gonna give you a sample of 5 games. If I don't see anything after 5, if you're still playing like you're playing after 5 games in week 1, no. What more do I need to see?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like after 5 games,
because you want to see improvement,
right? If he's still the same after 5 games, I don't need to see anymore. We need to move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then this last guy, we've been talking about him, throughout the show, Deshaun Watson. I really don't know what happened to this guy. I mean, I know he, listen, he had the off the field problems. He's had some injuries, but he has like fallen off a cliff. Like on Sunday, he looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
His O-line also didn't help him at all. They were bad.
Because obviously, I think 3 of his offensive line were out.
That was bad. He was running for his life a lot of that.
No, but he missed a lot of throws, bro. Like even when he had time, there was throws where like Amari Cooper was wide open, Jerry Jeudy, like they were showing like when Matt used to do the whole circle thing and draw with the marker, he was missing wide open guys, and he had time. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Cowboys have a great rush, but he had time. Man, I don't know. I mean, first of all, this is looking like one of the worst contracts in sports history.
It might be.
Browns.
Yeah, it might be. He looks good. Yeah. He looks like a different quarterback.
He does. He looks like he's like old, or he's just like he's not good at all. Like he's done. But
it goes back to confidence, man. Confidence is such a key. Like I said, even in our personal lives. Like remember, like when we were in college, and like the confidence you have when it comes to like talking to women. Like if you don't have that confidence, it's gonna show. And I think that's what's happening on the field right now. It's just. I don't think it's there anymore, man. And I think the pressure of that contract and all of the outside noise is just all gotten to him. And like, I remember when the Steelers obviously played him twice last year. He looked terrible at the game in Pittsburgh. I'm like,
yeah,
who is this guy?
But that's my thing, Kwab. He's looked terrible. We're not just talking about one game here. Like, oh, okay, it's week 1, they not whatever. We're talking about a 2-year. You know what I mean? Since he's been with the Browns, he has not looked good.
And here's a crazy stat. I saw a stat that Joe Flacco had, I believe, 300-yard passing games with the Browns last season, and Deshaun Watson hasn't had one yet. Not one.
And that's what I was going to get to. So how come Joe Flacco in that same offense looked like Brady, and Deshaun, you get Deshaun back, and it's like, yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's because
I really want somebody to explain that to me. when people try to still defend this guy, like, oh, well, no, right, he's been hurt. He's had the off the field. You got to give him time. No, I'm not giving this guy time. He's giving him one of the biggest contracts in sports history.
Because for me, time is given to young quarterbacks.
Right.
Like, I'm not bringing you in and giving you $230 million guaranteed to give you time.
You had a guy in Joe Flacco that was sitting on the couch. He was retired, done. He's not the Joe Flacco with the Ravens. He comes in and looks like Brady, and you're like, wait a minute, this don't look right. Like, how is he coming in, lighting it up, and then we have our normal starter. I know he's hurt, but when he comes back, it's like the offense looks completely different. It's like
it's bad.
Look like they can even function.
And it'd be different. I would give him the benefit of the doubt if, like, this was his first game as the Browns starter. Like, oh, he came from Houston. Dude, I know he played only a few games in the 2021 season.
I think he's played a total of 12 games. And it's funny, he does have a winning record with the Browns, even as a starter.
But I'm not giving him credit.
No, I know. And right, what I was going to say, because he hasn't played well in those games.
No, not at all, man. Like, he's just – but what do? They can't cut him. They can't. Because against the cap, it's going to cost them upwards of like $170 million.
We had the same conversation about Russell Wilson.
It's different. No, you can't. Because Russell Wilson, the cap number is way too different. It's almost triple. You can't. Because half of their salary cap is going to be dedicated. If they release him, and I'm gonna get the number because I want to be particular, but I believe it's upwards of $170 million against the cap. That's half of your cap. You can't. You have to keep him. You can't get rid of him. Because
how much longer should this go on then, Kwab? Like, should you because you have to pay him and just keep playing him? Like, remember, this league is still about wins and losses. Like, you're trying to win games. I get the business point of it. I get it. Like, we have to deal with the business part of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you can't keep going week after week. We just talked about Bryce Young, right? We're into week 6 or 7. He's still playing like this. Oh, no, we're going to keep playing him because we owe him $170 million. No, you still got to win games. You still have to have the fans come back for some reason. They're turning into the Browns with the brown paper bags. That's what they're turning into right now.
You do, but what's going to happen is you're going to severely cripple your franchise if you cut him. And if you're willing to take that hit, sure, because you could still get lucky and be like, oh, maybe, we're still solid. We got rid of him.
Why can't you just bench him? Why can't you say, well, we're not going to do anything with you. You'll be the backup.
Well, that's what they'll probably end up doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even saying get rid of him. That I understand what you're saying because, right, that's a lot of money. So, okay, we don't cut him. Hey, Deshaun, you're not performing well. You're going to be our backup. Like, we're trying to win games here.
If they release him after this season,
right,
they would lose $100 million, which is 36% of their salary cap. That's to one guy. So you could do it, but it's just really going to cripple them for the long haul. And I don't think they're willing to do that. And the unfortunate thing is you can't trade them because nobody's going to take that.
No. But I'm saying to you, Kwab, is that right? I think that the going forward, you may have to have that serious talk with them and say, look, Deshaun, you're not performing. So you're the backup. We're not going to cut you. We're not going to trade you. I know you're not going to really be happy, but I mean, what are we supposed to do here? You're not performing.
But I mean, I guess my question, if they bench him, is like, well, it's the same as cutting him essentially because like he's not playing, he's just sitting there. Like that's like you're not gonna have a Rolls Royce in your garage and never drive it. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
but remember backups. I mean, things happen, injuries happen. Sometimes, look. Well, first of all, we don't even know who the next quarter. I mean, they have Jameis Winston now. Jameis Winston's not the long-term solution for the Browns. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, next year they draft a quarterback, right? Somebody has to get him up to speed. You know what I mean? Deshaun's still there. Like, okay, hey, until this guy is ready or whatever, maybe you play, maybe you don't, or I mean, there's different ways you can work that. The problem is the Browns are not a good organization. I mean, I know you've been saying that for years. That's the thing. Like, a good organization can work this, but he's just the organization's not good. So that's the problem.
We're out of their mind to give him a fully guaranteed contract.
Well, yeah, we said this when it happened. I mean,
and I'm glad that other teams haven't followed suit because for the longest time, remember, and I don't want to. There was speculation. There was no, Lamar Jackson never came out and said that he wanted a fully guaranteed contract, but there was speculation that he wanted a similar contract to Deshaun Watson. And teams ain't buying that. They're like, nah, man, we're not making. Teams are not going to make that mistake. This will not be a trend. It won't because there's.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been. He's been the only one.
Yeah.
Because there was rumors that Dak wanted that Dak wanted fully guaranteed because Deshaun got it. Like, well, I want fully guaranteed. He got it.
No.
But obviously, Super the Cowboys didn't. He's still the highest paid quarterback of all time, but they didn't give him a fully guaranteed contract.
Right.
Yeah. So
the Browns are in a really tough spot. The only hope they can have is that he just starts to play better, which I don't think is impossible. Like, we know he has the skill set, but once again, if you don't have the confidence, the skill set don't matter. So I don't know, man. I'd be very concerned if I'm the Browns. I mean, the only thing they could do is try to play Jameis, but we've seen Jameis play in this league for a long time. He's not the answer.
No, he's
a short, like you said, he's a short-term answer.
Short-term answer, good backup. He's a great backup.
Great leader. Yeah,
great leader, but he's not the answer long-term. No, he's not your starter.
Not at all.
He's not at all. But yeah, man, as we wrap up the show, just want a couple of things before we get out of here. We want to touch on some serious things. Obviously, everybody's heard in the news. It's not just sports news, but even in hard regular news, the Tyreek Hill arrest that happened on Sunday. Obviously, you guys know the story. He's on his way to the game, and he was pulled over. Now, there's different reports that it was, whether it was reckless driving, he was speeding.
Yeah, I think speeding is what I've seen.
Yeah, speeding. Yeah, he was pulled over. I know a lot of you have seen the video. I just want to get your thoughts, Kwab, and then I'll kind of say my thoughts. But when you saw first of all, when you heard it and then kind of saw the video, what was your reaction? What was your reaction? Your immediate reaction?
Yeah. It was an unfortunate situation, man. It's sad to see because once again, it's the level of aggression and it's just too excessive. It's like you knock on his window, roll down your window. Let the situation breathe a little bit.
Right.
In that time, Tyreek Hill's not going to drive off and without rolling down his window.
Right.
But my issue is you knock on his window, he doesn't roll it down. You grab him and pin him on the ground. Like, do we really need to do all that? And let's just be 100% real about something. Mm-hmm. If he didn't look like me or you, it wasn't going to go down like that. Let's just keep it real.
Well, let's just go further. Let's say as he said in the press conference, me and you are not Tyreek Hill. That thing would have gone a lot more different. You know what I mean? It would have been a lot worse. Yeah. That's you and me.
And remember, a lot of people were recording the situation, and they knew, like, oh my God, that's Tyreek Hill.
Right.
Who's probably, besides Messi, the most famous athlete in that city right now.
Right. Now, they were saying he was uncooperative. I did see the part where the officer asked him not, after he rolled down the window, he rolled it back up.
Right.
The officer said, hey, can you roll it back down? And he didn't comply. Okay, if you want to get on him for that, fine. But I agree.
That's fine. But like I said, there still doesn't mean he needs to be. They need to.
Oh
be
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even if you want to say that, that's fine. But to grab him and he's telling you, hey, I just had knee surgery.
Yeah.
And we already know, like, being on your back in that position on your torso is not a natural position. So that's why when you hear about people when they get arrested and they say they can't breathe because you're on your torso. You know what I mean? You can't. That's not a natural position. So then I think from what I saw in the video, the guy put a knee in his back, and I'm like, well,
it's just too much.
Yeah, like what
he was trying to fight you back, or he wasn't.
And then his teammates came, like Calais Campbell came, and then the other player,
Jonnu Smith.
Yep. Jonnu Smith. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jonnu Smith. And then they arrest Calais Campbell he's trying to like diffuse the situation, calm it down. Like, hey, what are you guys doing? That's my teammate. Yeah. I'm just trying to diffuse. And you arrest Calais Campbell. And let's be real, Kwab. I know you haven't touched on it yet, but like you said, no, you have. Yes, it was racial. Let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said.
It was a racial thing. Yeah, it was like racial. I don't want to hear people say, I don't want to bring race into it. No, it was racial. Come on. He said it in the press conference. Because like I said, like he said, imagine if he wasn't Tyreek Hill, if that was one of us, if you and me, that's going to go down a lot worse. A lot worse.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean? I really respect what the Dolphins came out and said about the situation.
I thought that was a perfect response.
Yeah, and it started the way we kind of started this whole conversation with, we're saddened by the overly aggressive and violent conduct directed towards them. I'm not upset at the arrest. I understand that he didn't cooperate the way people want him to cooperate. It does not excuse the fact that they were overly aggressive, and that's the main issue here. That's the issue.
I agree. And I'm just, Kwab, we've had these conversations time and time again on the show.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to, unfortunately.
Yeah, like when is this going to end? When is it going to stop? It's not going to end. Yeah, they always quote unquote the police said they want a good relationship with the African American community, with the Black community, but yet you do this stuff. So then you expect us to be law abiding citizens and comply and do all this, but you do this, and then we're supposed to have confidence and look up to you guys and say, oh yeah, you're gonna protect us. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know all police are not bad. People they always say there's bad apples. Like, if my house is broken into, I'm calling the police. But that was a traffic stop. You acting like the guy had a gun or he was beating up somebody. Like, yo, he was literally in his car and you grabbed him out, put him on the ground because you didn't like how he reacted or answered your question, and you put a knee on his back. Like, I'm not trying to use the George Floyd thing because that's way more excessive, but this was excessive. Like, there was no reason, no call. It was just no reason for this at all.
Yeah, and there always seems to be this like level of entitlement that police have. Like, you listen to me, you obey what I say. It's like, well, I understand you're the authorities, but like my whole thing is I don't know what training is like for them, but you're supposed to be able to diffuse situations and handle all sorts of different situations.
Power and ego. I mean, it's power and ego.
Like my first,
I had the power of the badge. I have a gun. I have power.
Right, but my if I'm a police officer, my first reaction is not to drag somebody out of their car because they won't roll down their window. I'm going to wait it out. I'm going to see what happens. Give it some time. Like I said, Tyreek Hill's not going to drive off from the police. He's not going to do that. So why don't you diffuse the situation, let it breathe a little bit, and then proceed? Don't just get aggressive and open his door and slam him on the ground. It's just too much, man. It's too much. It could have ended a lot worse.
Yeah, like I said, I'll keep repeating. If he wasn't Tyreek Hill, it would have went a lot worse. Like I said, if it's you and me, that would have went a lot worse. You know what I mean?
I think so.
We're sad that we're having this conversation, in 2024. But like you said, unfortunately, it's probably never going to stop. Not in our lifetime.
No, it's you would just hope that you hear these stories less and less, which I feel like to an extent we kind of have, but it doesn't mean it's going to end. It can't. It's not the way this country was built and founded. Like, it was kind of built on racism. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So we can't expect that to really end. We just have to hope that we don't find ourselves in those situations. And unfortunately, we just have to abide and just do what you got to do to just ease the situation and get out of it. But yeah, I hated seeing that, man. And a lot of people have reached out to me, black, white, whatever, just like one of our good friends of the show reached out, that he's been on the show before, white, reached out like, man, this is sad. Like, why did this need to happen? And I was able to say to him, I don't think that's happening if he looked like you.
Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? Oh, if he wasn't Tyreek Hill, that was another black person. You know what I mean? It's going to go a lot worse. And I mean, it's unfortunate. My mother and father growing up, always, once I got older to drive, they told me, listen, when you get pulled over,
yeah, you just gotta. We've all been pulled over before.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I've been pulled over. You know what I mean? Not anything bad. Speeding or maybe moving to a violation. But yeah, they've always told me just be cooperative, and even that sometimes doesn't even mean you can be cooperative.
It's not a guarantee,
and it still may end tragically. So we've seen it so many times on camera with other people. So I mean, they stressed that to me when I was starting to drive. Like, hey man, you get pulled over. Just be compliant, but
be compliant.
It doesn't matter sometimes.
And odds are you're gonna leave unscathed. Like, things will be fine.
I've been blessed, and all those times I got pulled over, that I was able to get my ticket and go. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't back talk them. Yes sir, no sir. But as we've seen, that doesn't always mean it's gonna be the outcome like how it is for you and me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So. Yeah, so some other big news. We got a couple more things, and we're about to get out of here. But they announced the Super Bowl halftime show. It's going to be Kendrick Lamar. Obviously, he had the hottest song of the summer, and obviously won a big rap battle too. Now, there's been a little bit of controversy that a lot of people keep saying that they should have chose Lil Wayne because it's going to be in New Orleans. Obviously, Lil Wayne's a New Orleans native, and obviously he's an icon. He's a lot of people argue he's, one of the greatest rappers of all time.
And he's an NFL guy. Like, he loves the NFL.
Right, and he's an NFL guy. So just give me your thoughts on, should they have kind of rethought it by, should they have put Lil Wayne on, or do you like, are you like, nah, Kendrick Lamar's fine.
Why not like both? Because they've done Super Bowl shows with two people. We've seen Shakira and J-Lo. We've seen, heck, Kendrick was in the Super Bowl that I went to a couple years ago with Dr. Dre and Eminem.
Right.
Why not? I feel bad for him, man. I feel bad for Wayne. I'm not like a huge Wayne guy,
right? Because I'm not either. But I'm just. I know we're both not kind of huge Wayne guys, but I'm with you. You know what I mean?
He's one of the most respected MCs out there, whether you're a fan of him or not.
Right.
And like that's his hometown. He's a big NFL dude. He's been on NFL shows like First Take, which is pretty much an NFL show. But yeah, man, like they couldn't I wonder if somebody was just like, "Oh crap, we forgot." Like, I'm hoping it was something like that. Like,
yeah, but the last few days has been all these rappers have reacted. I don't know if you saw the things that Nicki Minaj and Birdman came out.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's getting kind of little. It's getting more than just hey, they should have put him on. Now people are taking it personally, and then now there's different factions. You know, people getting on Jay-Z saying, Jay-Z's a hater, and you know what I mean? Because I guess there's apparently some. Which I never knew. I guess there's some.
They got beef.
Yeah, a little beef between Jay and Lil Wayne. I
did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either because I saw a picture last week where he was hanging out with Lil Wayne and DJ Khaled in like a bowling alley. So I'm like, wait, they got beef, but I just saw them they looked all good last week. So listen, I'm with you. I wish they probably would have put Wayne on. It would have been great just to have the New Orleans native and to have the whole Cash Money kind of thing. It would have been great, kind of nostalgic. I don't have an issue with Kendrick. I get it from a business standpoint. Look. Kendrick had the hottest song of the summer. He won he won the rap battle. I get it, but I told Ellie this, my wife. I said that I truly believe Kendrick's going to bring him out. I think he's going to.
If you think Lil Wayne is a little too prideful though, and he's like, nah, they didn't ask me.
So that's the thing that I don't know. That you may be right. So that's what I was saying to my wife. I said I don't know if he's going to accept that, but I think Kendrick will at least put his hand out and say, "Hey, man,
I hope he does."
Yeah, hey, I'd love you to come onto the show with me. Right. I don't know if Wayne will accept though.
I hope he does, man. Just put the pride aside and just be like, "Yo," because they would be awesome on stage together. But yeah, that's disappointing, man. Because I know Jay-Z has a lot to do with that, and I mean,
I didn't know Jay-Z is the executive producer now of the Super Bowl halftime. I didn't know that.
I believe that started the year before the whole Dr. Dre, Eminem.
Right. I didn't know.
He faced some criticism of it because of the whole Kaepernick situation and how he started to support that. So a lot of people were critical of Jay-Z for his decision to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. But now that he is, I mean, how did he drop the ball on that?
Yeah, because this is like a layup to me. Like, get Lil Wayne. You're going to bring out Cash Money. He may even have a little appearance from Master P and No Limit. It's going to be nostalgia. It would have been dope. I would have loved it. But
like we said, just both of them.
Yeah, so before we move on, the Master P had also wrote a letter. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't get to read that, no.
Right, so he wrote a letter to Jay-Z saying, hey, like, I respect that, you guys picked Kendrick. Kendrick is one of the hottest artists, but I guess he's like a New Orleans ambassador. So he was like, it would have been great if you would have, chose Wayne though, because of what he's done in this industry and bring this to New Orleans. So it kind of sucks that they didn't do it, but I'm hoping that Kendrick, extends his hand and, at least comes out as like a guest or feature or something, and they do kind of something together. That would be dope.
I hope so too, man. I feel bad for the homie.
Yeah, that'd be dope. But yeah, man. Before we get out of here, we had two we hate to end on a somber note, but two legends passed this week. The first one is one that I know you love, James Earl Jones, Coming to America, Field of Dreams,
Lion King,
Darth Vader. I used to love when you did his impersonation, from Coming to America, but such a legend. I mean, he was 93.
Long life.
Such a legend in the game.
Yeah.
R.I.P. man. Just one of the greatest to ever do it.
King Joffy Joe, the real
great actor. Man. Like, I mean, so much range. You could comedy, drama, action. He did everything. So
shout out to King Joffy Jofa, man.
No doubt. And then the other one is, as we found out today this morning, Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Yeah, legend.
If you're African American, and I think when we were texting that if you've been to a black wedding, before I let you go, it's like always the last song they play at a black wedding. It's like
in '77. I don't consider that like old. Like, I mean, it's older. It's older.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, man.
The crazy thing is, he just announced this past year that he was going on his final tour of music and retiring. I wonder if he kind of knew something was up. I mean, obviously we didn't know as the public, but I'm wondering, did he know, like, hey, I don't really have that much time.
But we don't know the cause of death yet, do we? Unless we do.
Oh, we don't. But it's just kind of weird how he just, it was his last leg of his, he had one last tour, and he said it was going to be his final tour, and he was going to retire, and then this happened. So, but anyway, just such a legend. I mean, I've had his music downloaded on my phone. I've always been a fan. Like I said, and from what I've heard, people that I know have been to some of his concerts, they said you'll never experience anything live better than a Frankie, Beverly, and Maze concert. And I've heard people our age say that, not just our parents and older people. They've said that he puts on one of the best concerts ever of all time. So,
oh wow, see, I wasn't aware of that.
So I was always, I'm kind of sad I was never able to witness that in person. But just such a legend, man. R.I.P. to him and his family.
Legends,
man. Yeah. But man, that's gonna do it for another episode of Our Brothers Got Next. Second show on video. I'm excited about this season and just going forward. We're gonna have a lot of content for you guys. More guests. Look for the future that we're gonna have some merch in the future.
Yes, sir. And next time we're on camera, we're gonna be talking about them 3-0 UNLV Rebels, baby.
Right, that's how UNLV alumni.
Top 25.
Yeah, I like I was saying to Kwab, I can't believe I never thought I'd say that ever in life.
Bring on Bama, baby. Bring them all.
I don't know about all that, but yeah, if they get in the top 25, yeah. But
I know you gotta take baby steps.
Exactly. Shout out to UNLV, Rebel for life, always. That's our alumni. But that's gonna do it for episode of Brothers Got Next. Peace.